Okay, so I want to talk about when you guys see duplicate type mark values, or you cannot, or you can, or you cannot duplicate these type mark values, and you see this. I'm going to show you guys what that is exactly. Let's see. I'm going to see if I can recreate that. So I have a piece of equipment here, and it could be a number of things. So I'm going to copy this. That's a water heater. And I'm going to change this from a 40 gallon to a 50 gallon. And if you notice, and you haven't noticed it, for this 40 gallon water heater, I got a type mark down here. This type mark is water closet dash 40. I'll say okay to that. And up here, I have a 50 gallon edit type. And what I want to edit is the type mark. Now a lot of us go in where this number, it could be nothing. Okay. Or if you're way over somewhere and you're going to you need to put a type mark in. Because usually these type marks, I'm going to put in WH-40. Guess what I'm going to get as an error or something to take notice of? You guessed it. A warning that says element have duplicate type mark values. If you haven't seen it, you will see it. And that's the reason, is because you're duplicating your type mark values without even knowing it. And a lot of times people come in and they have this type mark as being WH1. But in this case, it's WH40. And so they go to another, so they go here, and that's a piece of equipment. And here's another piece of equipment. And they want to use the same type mark. Like this. Wait a minute, that's 40, 50. That's type mark WH40. And here's type mark WH40. So it's not, oh, okay. So it's already giving me that error. So what if this was, let's change it to WH50. Say okay. And let's change this 50 gallon to WH50. Same type mark. Let's see if it's going to duplicate it. Okay. We're going to say 50 and say okay. And it gives us a warning. Okay. It gives us a warning that one time. Okay. I'll say okay to this. And so we have a 40 gallon water heater with the type mark of WH4, WH50. Okay. And we have another one. This is a 50 gallon water heater. And it has the same type mark. But Revit only tells us that one time. Okay. It only tells us that one time. So we have to address it because, let me see, type mark. So when you get ready to schedule these, it may say count to. Let's see what happens. Water heater schedule equipment. Okay. equipment schedule. So there's two of them. Okay. So, and that's fine with the same mark type. Okay. So let's go back to my water. Let's go back to the floor plan and look at another. Let's bring in another water heater. Let's go down to, I mean, you can do it either way. I'm going to go down to my project browser and bring in properties. It's a 50 gallon. That's a 40 gallon. Okay, but it's still messing up because here the model number, see, the model number varies. You see? This model number is AX-40. And this model number should be, well, we'll see what it is. Model number doesn't have a model number. Let's put one in here. AX-50. Let's use that. AX-50, because it's a 50 gallon one. I want to keep some kind of consistency up in here. That's 40. Let's go back to the equipment. The models are still varying, but we have two. You see how it loses its integrity, I guess you could say, because they have the same mark number. Same mark number, different models. So we know that that's not going to work. Let's go back here. So when you're seeing those, so let's correct it. So that's a 40 gallon model number, or type number should be should be 40, and this model number, this water heater, should be 50. Okay, let's keep it at 50. I'm going to keep those, and let's go to our equipment. So we have mark type 40 and 50, one each. A.O. Smith model. Okay, so now it's starting to populate our water heater schedule, because the type marks are not the same. Let's go here, here, and here, because you have to keep up with these. Make sure the type marks are not the same. Could I have usually, okay, could let's have, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to have, let's see, recreate this. Let me put this back to 40. Let's make that 40. It's gonna say warning, warning, warning. Okay, so you know that something is not right. Now let's expand this out. And what does it give? What is it telling us? It's telling us that there is a type mark with this. There's a mechanical equipment that is the 50 gallon with the ID number of There's a different ID number that has the same mark number. What if I click this? Can I show? No, it's not going to let me show. Why wouldn't it do that? Delete check? No. Export collapse. Export. To highlight an element in the graphics window selected in the tree. To highlight an element in the graphics window selected in the tree. Okay, let me go back. Let's go over here. Can I move this? Nope. Cancel. Cancel. Let's go here. Have 50. And I'm going to take this off screen and change that 50 to a 40 and let it give me my error. So this is the error that it's given me. Element of duplicate type mark elements have duplicate type mark values. So let's expand that. Okay, I'm going to bring it out here and let's see what happens. So if I highlight the 40, if I highlight this, one of these should have highlighted, right? To highlight an element in the graphics window selected in this tree. This is the tree, but it's not doing anything. Here. Nope, still no. Say okay. So it told me that the type marks, there's a duplicate, and it's 40, okay? That's for the 50 gallon, and cancel, and it is for the 40 gallon, the type mark is 40. Okay, but it's not telling me, when I get the duplicate, it doesn't show me why. It doesn't highlight it on the screen. If I change this back to 50, let's go back to 50 and say okay. Let's change it back to 40 and it should give me that duplicate warning again, right? Let's go back here, go 40, yes. Okay, well at least it's doing that. Elements have duplicate mark types. Expand. Yeah, expand. Expand. And then it says to highlight an element in gray, selected in the tree. Well, it doesn't select, it does not select it. It doesn't select it in the view. It doesn't select it in the view. Okay, so be careful with duplicate type marks. So I'm going to change it back to 40. Yeah, we know. Let me change that back to 50. Change it back to 50. And it should be okay. So in my equipment, I got 40 and 50. Everything looks good, and the rest has to be populated based on the edit type settings. For example, we have manufacturer A.O. Smith. I can go in and change A.O. Smith. I can change that to another manufacturer like Ream. Okay. Say okay to that, and we come back, and now it's Ream. Okay. So what you also have to be careful of, and what Revit does, I don't know why it does this, but Let's say, for example, you see these how the text is in uppercase. So if I go in and change this 50 type mark, WH-50, let's change it to a lowercase WH-40 and see if Revit gives me a duplicate. Watch this. Watch this. WH-40. WH-40. I know that there's one in here. And I know once I click this OK button, Revit is going to tell me that, oh, dude, you can't do that. You got a duplicate type mark. So this is your warning, right? That's what it's going to tell me. Because I have a WH-40 already on my plan. And I'm telling Revit that I want another one. And usually Revit tells me, you already got a duplicate. So just be careful. And I'm telling it, okay, see if I can outsmart the Revit program and put the lowercase, because I know I got them in uppercase. So I'm going to say okay to this. And Revit should give me, dude, you can't do that. It's a duplicate. I'm going to say okay. And Revit says, oh, it's no problem. Now, why is that? Let me go up here to the water heater schedule. What's the equipment schedule? Water heater schedule? Oh, okay. I could change that. I think, well, no, that's the equipment schedule because all these pieces of equipment are on here. Okay. Got it. Okay, so where am I? What am I? I'm a little upset at Revit right now. Because let's see, where am I? Equipment, water heater schedule. This is the one I want. No, I don't. I want this one. Now, I got WH-40. I got two of them. I got one here, and that's a 50-gallon one. I'm going to keep it over here. And this is a 40-gallon. Let me go back to the properties. That's a 40-gallon. This is a 50-gallon. Both of them have WH1, but Revit didn't tell me that there was a warning that there's already a there was a WH-40. Revit didn't tell me that there's another WH-40 on your plan. I got a problem with that. Let me cancel this. Because in my water heater schedule, why am I, let me just turn this off. I don't need that on. In my equipment schedule, it's not populating. Well, there's two of them, mark type 40. There's two of them. So I have to go into my schedule and see my fields, filter. You see this? This filter by type mark begins with W. That's a capital W. Now, if I put small lowercase w, guess what Revit's going to do? You got it. Oh, man. It puts the lowercase in here and not the higher. Okay, let's do this. I'm going to change. Let's go back. Let's be nice to Revit. Let's see if Revit's going to be nice to us. I'm going to change this. I'm going to leave it at lowercase, but I'm going to put a 1 in front of this. Say okay to that and go back to the equipment water heater schedule. Equipment schedule. Okay. And let's go back to water heater fields. Filter by begins with sort by. Okay, sort by type mark. That's fine. Itemize every instance. Oh, I thought that was going to be the ticket. Let's go back. Filter by. Man. Begins with W. Begins. I don't think that that's going to matter. Begins with WH. Let's take off the instance. Take that off. Let's go back. Let's see if we can still try and figure this out. Because I know that if I capital in here, it's going to give me the other one. But if I use begins with WH, well, both of them begin with W, so let me go back. Here, you have to go in, and the solution to this is you have to put this WH in capital letters. Well, the W should be in capital letters. Let's try this. WH. I'm going to leave it at 140. Go to equipment. Okay. Now, does that make sense? I mean, Revit. so if you're having problems and you just can't, you got to get down to the lowest denominator of Revit before if you see any kind of warning, you have to look at it and find out what Revit is actually doing. Because otherwise, you could get caught in a cobweb of things. I didn't know. I mean, if you're way down the line on a project and you're wondering why you're getting these duplicate type marks, or you're wondering why your equipment is not showing up on your equipment schedule. One, it could be because you're duplicating a type view or a model or any kind of title, efficiency or remarks or gallons per hour and whatever it is. When you see that warning, you can't ignore it. I think it says ignore. Or it's just a warning. Yeah, I think it's just a warning. And two, when you put in your schedules and it's a lowercase, but you can't figure out why it's not showing up, or you've checked all your boxes, right? You've checked all these boxes, right? Where is it? This one. You checked all these boxes. It's greater than. It begins with, does not end with, and it doesn't say, make sure that it's capitalized. Or why don't we do this? Okay, let's have some fun. I'm going to change these to, both of them are going to be lowercase. Let's go back. Let's go back and make these, I'm going to put this as lowercase. Okay. Water heater schedule, equipment schedule. Lowercase. Okay, let's do this again. Let's try it again. Let's do this. Go here. Well, I know it's going to go off, right? Let's put it here. Make a W. Say okay. Go to water heater schedule. What do you know? It's not there. I wonder why. Well, because up here, when you say begins with, it doesn't say make sure it's capitalized or make sure it's in lowercase. I don't know. It's another one of those things that Revit does that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I mean, why does it? You tell me what's going on here. What is going on? So I guess the moral of the story is when you see that type mark and it says duplicate, you got to look back into your families, let me go back. Let's save this. You have to go back into your categories or all of this stuff, because what's happening is somewhere in your families, let's say one of these families, see this 40, that 40 gallon, and you go to type, edit type. When you list down here, there could be a duplicate that you're not using, okay? Because it's there, the answer is there. If it says warning, here's a duplicate, but it only shows you that warning that one time. But you have to correct it. Otherwise, you're going to get caught up into having pieces of equipment that Revit may not recognize or will recognize double. Let's cancel that, and let's say somewhere like this 150, you go here, and it's HW 150. It should be HW 150, but if the problem is one of these has a type mark that is duplicate of the type mark that you're using, and you might have put a type mark in one of your pieces of equipment yesterday, last week, or last month, and you don't know why it's giving you that type mark. And the reason that it's giving you that type mark is because one of your pieces of equipment, it could be a plumbing fixture, okay? It could be one of these. If I click on this floor, you go down here, and it could be, and it says FD-2, but suppose you're using another floor drain, another type of floor drain that says FD-2, and this guy is buried somewhere, and that's the reason that you're going to get that duplicate copy. So you just go in and either you change the type mark note, or you can do whatever you have to do in order to correct the duplication of it, okay? And the second thing that I noticed that I had no idea Revit would do this to me is that these where am I? This piece of equipment, right? Let's go back over here. This type mark has to be, it can be the same nomenclature, like WC-1, WH-1, WC-1, it could be SH-1, it could be anything. But it has to be, and Revit will not duplicate it if one is higher, if one is uppercase and the other one is lowercase. It could be the same type mark, and Revit will ignore it. So be aware of that. Always. So the moral of the story, I guess, is to always use capital letters in here. Okay. So that's that. I wanted to go over the type marks and the duplication stuff. Okay. All right, guys. I hope that helped, and I will talk to you guys later.